The Greek islands, Greece's paradise on earth, or more accurately, paradise on the waters. From Mykonos to Paros to Santorini, travellers fall in love with the stunning scenery. From whitewashed buildings framed with bougainvillea to the blue-domed monasteries dotting the landscapes, and the sunsets, all surrounded by the sparkling waters of the Aegean Sea. Join us as we explore the magic of the Greek islands. The beautiful Greek islands surround mainland Greece on all sides, in the Ionian Sea to the west and to the south in the Mediterranean Sea. But the Aegean Sea in the southeast of Greece is particularly popular among travellers. There are around 6,000 islands within Greek waters, and we'll show you the highlights of 3 of them. Starting from the busy port of Paros in Athens, we'll catch a ferry to Mykonos. From there, we'll stop at Paros while making our way to our final destination, Santorini. With Athens being the departure point for most travellers who visit the islands, many take some time to explore Greece's capital while they're there. They witness the awe-inspiring temples with history dating back 2,500 years. And while the Greek islands also have ancient attractions, what captivates travellers the most is the romantic nature of the uniquely exquisite beauty. It takes up to 3 hours to get to Mykonos from Athens port of Piraeus by ferry, stopping at Syros along the way to let passengers off while others board. Some services, however, are faster than others. You can book your tickets through a number of providers, including the Ferry Hopper app. Just be aware, changes to sailing schedules can be frequent, so keep your eye on your app for updates. And try to organise your stays on the islands so that you're not too dependent on precision timing. Sailing times can be a bit fluid. According to myth, Hercules, son of Zeus, slew mighty giants, winning a significant battle for the Olympian gods against these earthborn titans. He threw their bodies into the sea, and their petrified remains became the island of Mykonos. Mykonos would have to be one of the most popular islands to visit, which is why you'll find it pretty crowded during the high season between June and September. It has only around 15,000 permanent residents and about 50,000 visitors a day during the summer. If you go in the shoulder season, it's still busy but not as congested. Ferry services tend to be less frequent though, so you'll have to weigh up the benefits of the time of year you choose to visit. But regardless of the crowds, when you see Mykonos, you'll understand why so many travellers come here. Like Ibiza, Mykonos is a party island, at least in its main centre. Young people love the beaches by day, with around 250 sunny days a year, and of course, the bars and cafes by night. Don't get me wrong, there's plenty of quiet places to stay if nightlife isn't your thing, with beautiful resorts on the outskirts. Having said that, there's plenty of accommodation right in the heart of the main town. Although the buildings are old, many of the rooms here have been renovated and offer very modern and comfortable stays. You may have to navigate the maze of narrow lanes to find your lodgings, but with a bit of help from your phone's Google or Apple Maps, you'll quickly learn how to find your way around. But taking your time to explore this labyrinth is half the fun. You can't help but notice the immaculate lanes lined with whitewashed buildings and the beautiful bougainvillea colour splash here and there. And the local feline residents. Stroll around the shops here for unique souvenirs, jewellery and clothing. And every now and then you'll discover a little courtyard or cafe. There are galleries featuring whimsical art ideas to decorate your house, if you don't mind melting your credit card on these unique display pieces. And there are a lot of photo opportunities with simple but uniquely Greek themes, like a doorway with its characteristic blue colour and whitewashed surroundings, or the donkeys, traditionally used to transport goods and even people. And then there are the famous Mykonos windmills. These landmarks once contributed hugely to the local economy, grinding agricultural products for shipping. With the disruption of modernity, they're more of a landmark now and have become iconic symbols of the island itself. Being surrounded by sea, it's no surprise that fish features in the local diet. From the tavernas, you can enjoy not just the freshest fish, but other Greek foods, including crisp salads, cured meats, cheeses, and traditional Greek dishes. Many of the eateries are situated overlooking the blue waters. But before we choose a place to enjoy this great food, that magical time of day just before sunset has arrived, with shades of amber light and deep shadows that create dramatic contrast. Photographers call this golden hour, that brief time of day when the photos you take are at their very best and memories are immortalized in beautiful light. On Mykonos, golden hour is even more special because the walls are all whitewashed, reflecting the warm hues of early evening. This is why the sunsets that follow are so special on the Greek islands. As we watch the sun go down, the windmills form the perfect picture to end a perfect day. Why would you want to be anywhere else? And in the warm evenings, we find that Greek food we spoke of. Tonight, it's fresh fish with moussaka. The next morning, we board a ferry to head towards Santorini, stopping at Paros along the way. It can take between 40 and 90 minutes to ferry to Paros, depending on the vessel you go on. It's not too far. Excavations show people lived in Paros since 3200 BCE. In classical times, the island was famous for the stone of its quarries, where it produced a distinctive white semi-translucent stone called Parian marble. This was used extensively for sculptural masterpieces like the famous Venus de Milo and the Nike of Samothrace, now in Paris's Louvre Museum. You'll land in the main port of Parikia, but most people prefer to catch a bus or taxi to head to Nao-Oussa, just 11 kilometers away. Nao-Oussa was founded in the late 14th to 15th centuries. It's a picturesque little fishing village with streets that have some similar characteristics to the main town of Mykonos. Only some travelers prefer this location because it's not so congested. Others say it's one of the most beautiful towns in all of the Greek islands. They come here to enjoy the beaches and the warm climate too. Along the waterfront, you can take in the atmosphere as you stroll by the tavernas and little fishing boats. And when you do this, inevitably your walk will take you past the remains of the 15th century fort of Nao-Oussa, built to protect the island from pirates. It's easily accessible via this small causeway. Off the main square, you can once again stroll through the labyrinth of lanes to discover chic boutiques and eateries. Little surprises are around every corner, with the whitewashed buildings framed with that typically Greek splash of colour in the form of beautiful bougainvillea. From these lanes you can see glimpses of the Church of the Assumption of the Virgin. And morning coffee is a great way to begin the day, especially if it's from a waterfront cafe like this one. From here, we get off to a relaxing start before setting off for the island of Santorini. Our ferry from Paros takes us past the neighbouring island of Naxos to let off some passengers while others board. But our destination is to the south on a ferry ride that can take between 2 to 5 hours, depending on the vessel you sail on. Of all the islands here, most dream of coming to Santorini. With precariously cantilevered buildings perched on 300-metre-high cliffs, the dramatic panorama inspires all who come. Santorini was once described as Kaliste, meaning the most beautiful one. Santorini is actually a massive sunken volcano, 11 miles, that's 18 kilometers in length. According to legend, this was Atlantis, the mythical advanced utopian civilization that Plato spoke of thousands of years ago. It's widely felt that Atlantis was an allegory to warn of the dangers of unchecked power, which is why Plato's story ended in its destruction. In fact, a great destruction did take place here around 3,500 years ago, around 1600 BCE, when Santorini exploded in a catastrophic eruption. What we now see is what's left of the rim of the sunken volcano, which is why Santorini is arc-shaped. The towns are perched on the edge of this rim, looking down into the massive flooded crater, the caldera. There are a number of towns dotted along Santorini, but the two most popular ones are Fira and Ia. We start by visiting Ia at the northern end of the island. A common drop-off point for taxis is the post office. A bus will drop you at the bus station. In both cases, it's on one side of town, and that's as close as the roads can take you. From there, you must walk through the lanes of the little town to get to your accommodation. But don't despair at the thought of having to lug your suitcases through these lanes to find your lodgings. Many hotels and even Airbnb hosts will meet you at these points with porters to help carry your luggage. And as you walk, you'll get your first glimpse of just how special Ia is. Much of the accommodation is built into the rock and typically referred to as cave hotels. Some Airbnbs offer this feature too, with their doors and windows on the cave entrance and modern facilities on the inside. This theme dates back years when residents built their homes this way to keep them cool. Once again, we admire the characteristic whitewashed buildings as we explore with their blue doors and domes. As always, all framed with that gorgeous bougainvillea. Have you ever wondered why the whitewash features so much on the Greek islands? Originally, it was because of the disinfectant properties of the solution made up of lime and water. This became particularly important in the early 20th century when diseases like cholera were prevalent. Likewise, the disinfecting ingredients of the blue paint is why you'll also see blue domes and blue trim everywhere. Of course, the white also reflects the bright sunlight, making the buildings cooler in the heat of the Aegean sun. Since this began, the military government of the 60s actually mandated the use of white and blue as a symbol of national pride. And it worked! Today, these distinctive trademark colors of the Cycladic Islands create the unique look that attracts tourists, and they love it. Your exploration takes you down narrow lanes making up Ia, cluttered with shops and cafes. Browse and you'll see unique souvenirs and gifts so you can take that little bit of Greece back home with you. Everything from beautiful clothes to fridge magnets and novelties, chocolates and oils. Beautiful artwork, unique Greek ornaments, and ceramics, lots and lots of ceramics. And if you tote that gelato while browsing, you're all set. Many of the cafes have jaw-dropping views over the caldera, so you can lose yourself in a bit of a dream while you dine, trying to remind yourself that it's all real. And speaking of those jaw-dropping views, Ia has some very special viewpoints, the sort that you see in those travel brochures, books and postcards. The so-called three-dome monastery can be found down 2 different lanes, each offering an alternative view from either side. Make sure you get some photos taken here, but at the same time, get here early. There are always queues with people waiting their turn to get that once-in-a-lifetime photo. However, early morning visits not only mean the lines are smaller, but the light is also perfect. Just be patient and show courtesy, perhaps even offering to help the people in front of you by taking their pictures. And they'll often reciprocate, so you can have that very special photo taken of you in return. Here's a tip. Dine at the Terpsy in Ia Blue Domes restaurant and you'll get this view without feeling the pressure of a queue waiting behind you. You can take your time here and relax. You should book it though to ensure you get a good table. Another must-see viewpoint are the ruins of the old castle. It's right in the middle of Ia on an outcrop of rock overlooking the water, allowing you to look back towards the town. The classic view of the windmills from here can easily be turned into one of your favorite photos. And as the day draws to an end, the castle and in fact every possible viewpoint becomes a grandstand for what people call the greatest light show on earth, the famous Greek sunset. It can be a bit crowded finding that perfect vantage point, but watching the orange sun disappearing here is a tradition. It's also tradition for the crowds of onlookers to applaud as the sun disappears beyond the horizon, expressing their appreciation for the end of a perfect day in a Greek paradise. And while the day draws to an end, night is just beginning. The cafes come alive with wonderful wine and cuisine on those warm summer nights. From the Terpsy in Ia Blue Domes restaurant, we see the same views of the Three-Dome Monastery, only this time at night. And the same views of the cliffs of Ia we saw by day, but this time with the lights while enjoying Greek meatballs. Or treat yourself to an experience at Emphasis Restaurant, where you can order fresh seafood pasta and stuffed zucchini. There are so many choices with views overlooking the lights of Ia. And even overlooking weary donkeys being led home to sleep after a hard day of carrying luggage and people in the hot Greek island sun. And after a full day of exploring, we'll head to our beds to get some rest too, because tomorrow more adventure awaits us in the town of Fira. Most visitors flock to Ia because it's so picturesque, but if you know where to look and are happy to do some walking, Fira has equally stunning vistas to discover. Fira is Santorini's capital. Here is where passengers from luxury cruise ships arrive at the wharf below. Some ascend via cable car, and some by donkey. By the way, due to the fact that the use of donkeys remains a tradition, their droppings are regularly cleaned up, but keep your eyes open when walking around Santorini, just in case. Make sure you stop for a drink at the Palia Camini or the PK bar and savor the breathtaking views of the caldera and cruise ships below over a wine, cocktail or beer. Afterwards, take a brief stroll down just a few steps next to the bar entrance to gaze at virtually the same view, but with the Church of St. John framing the foreground. As always, you can browse at the shops in search of that bargain or souvenir. It can be a bit crowded because this is where passengers from the cruise ships arrive, in their thousands. Once you get past the retail precinct, you can easily find the beginning of the 10.5 kilometre path that's 6.5 miles to walk all the way back to Ia, if you're keen. You could catch a bus or taxi, but the views and photo opportunities along this walk are nothing short of spectacular, because the path looks over the waters of the caldera below. Therefore, walking at least some of this trail is part of the Santorini experience. Just make sure you have your sun hat and water bottle with you. Having said that, you'll pass little villages with cafe stops along the way to make your exploration more fun. If you have challenges with mobility, you might find parts of Santorini to be difficult. In the main towns, a bit of walking is required and there are lots of stairs. But if you have a reasonable degree of fitness, you'll have the best time. As we head north in the direction of Ia, we pass the postcard-like Church of Agios Stil Anos. Only 1.2 kilometres from Fira, which is less than a mile, we arrive at Stefani. The little village has another famous viewpoint with this little boat providing a well-photographed foreground. However, what many people miss is the famous church called the Three Bells of Fira, because it doesn't look overly remarkable from the path. So here's a tip. If you're heading north in the direction of Ia, when you see the little old boat, walk just a few more meters and turn sharply onto the next set of steps you see on the right to go up. When you get to the road, turn right again and then enter a car park, again on the right. Your reward for being a little adventurous is this famous view of the Three Bells of Fira. You might recognize it being in lots of promotional photos, and it could be in your own collection of photos too. After you've captured more prize memories on your camera, just walk 2.4 kilometers or 1.5 miles further and you'll arrive at the village of Emiravili. Once again, there's a little trick to getting the best views of the Church of the Resurrection of the Lord. You can see the church in the distance as you approach, but just before you get there, take the stairs to the right. When you get to the top, turn a sharp left and walk a short distance to see this. When you explore the side paths, you'll discover hidden secrets, like this postcard view of the church dome, and no crowds to queue behind to wait your turn to take pictures. As you explore all of these breathtaking sights throughout Santorini, there's a pretty good chance you'll see photographers doing amazing things with visitors who are made to look fabulous. They offer you the opportunity to have a very special photo shoot, not only captured professionally, but where women look as stunning as the uniquely mind-blowing backdrops of the island, wearing the famous flying dress. You can do flying dress photography in various parts of the world, but Santorini is where it began. Anna from Miss Santorini Flying Dresses, her assistants and makeup artists bring out the glamour in women, couples and their kids. The dresses have very long trains. Anna's assistant throws this train into the air and it's captured on camera, appearing to fly. The results give your photos that wow factor.
Hello, my name is Anna and I am a photographer in Santorini, this magical island. I have the flying dresses, Miss Santorini Flying Dresses.
There are many choices of dresses you can wear, including colors of red, gold, or color coordinate with your surroundings wearing Santorini blue.
They find us on the internet or Instagram or Facebook, and then they email, they send a request, we find the dates, and then we meet in a certain meeting point, and we dress them very fast and nice, and they start to be queens.
If you want to know more about Miss Santorini Flying Dresses, see the link below and plan that once-in-a-lifetime glamour photo shoot with Anna. By the way, this video has no sponsorship or paid promotion. We mention names of restaurants and services like Anna's simply because we think they're the best. brings us to the accommodation. Do you remember we spoke earlier of cave hotels and Airbnbs built into the rock? Well, some of the hotels also come with cave pools. One such hotel is in Fira, Dana Villas and Infinity Suites is a high-end luxury hotel with all of these features. Like so many of the hotels here, this is built on a slope to take advantage of the incredible views, so there are steps to descend. Call the hotel from your taxi drop-off point and porters will walk up to meet you and carry your luggage. When you arrive at the terrace outside of the reception, the wow factor makes you realize why it was worth a little bit of effort to get here. From the hotel restaurant, we look across the shared pool and to the Skiros rock and the caldera below. But as spectacular as this may seem, the best is yet to come. For that once-in-a-lifetime experience, book one of the villas or suites that come with your very own cave pool. This one is the Honeymoon Pool Villa. You can luxuriate in either of your 2 private pools. Your very own indoor heated cave pool, and your very own infinity cave pool that opens to the outside with those jaw-dropping views of the caldera. Relax and gaze at the magnificent panorama from your pool, or from your daybed. You deserve it after all that shopping, walking and exploration. And when you see that best photography time, the golden hour from here, and the famous Greek island sunset that follows, don't be too surprised if your heart skips a beat. Even if you're not normally the romantic type, you might find yourself surrendering to a tender moment with that someone special. And as you enjoy dinner afterwards in one of the many cafes, as with Ia, the views across the cliffs add to the magic as Santorini lights up the night. Sadly, at some point we all have to leave. Although Santorini has an airport, most travellers ferry back to Athens. Make sure you take some time to look around Athens during your stay in Greece. Check out our Athens to Meteora travel guide to discover the best places to visit. Mykonos, Paros, and Santorini offer just a glimpse of the Greek islands. If you have time, there's also Crete and Rhodes, to name just 2 other beautifully picturesque islands on Greek waters. So plan your trip, and whatever islands you decide to explore, it'll be an experience to remember. And you'll be mesmerized by these treasures on the sparkling waters of the Aegean Sea.